Hello. So, before I get started, um, I just watched a Randall Carlson Cosmographia clip that on. Let's see. This one, where he mentions there are some spherules found in Melrose. Not sure if this is exactly where Melrose is. It's like around here somewhere. It's generally here, but I don't know if it's exactly there. Point is, it was in Melrose as well as New Jersey. I didn't look to see where the New Jersey location was. Melrose, Pennsylvania. And I just out of curiosity was like, huh, it looks kind of in line with these other places that I've been connecting. Like this flame, the tip of it. So by connecting this through the center, through the center, through pretty much the center, a little, I wonder if it even would go more there. And then to Melrose. Let's find Melrose. For some reason, if I type it. So the bend is like that. Possibly here, around here. Yeah, here, like right there. So it's not gonna change it much, but it is gonna move it towards it a little bit. And then I could, but these are pretty dead center, I'd say. So this is probably a good location. I could like cheat it over, see if that, like, what if I do like here? Oh, that's interesting that we go right to the edge, right to the edge. Kind of opposite. It was more so there. Now it's more so there relative to this. This is considered an impact. Not an impact. It's definitely in a snakehead type feature here. So something's going on here that's not an impact. That's more like this is also considered an impact, but this is not, 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 this is not. Notably over here, there's also a larger type of structure going around it. I wonder, what if I go to this side? Whoa, notice what's happening. Like right to this boundary. Pretty much right to that boundary. So by keeping Melrose constant, and then right through the tip of this arrow. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't know why it's happening exactly. There's certainly a boundary that's generally causing eddies in this location and along this location and transporting materials because the current is going one way or the other. I'm not completely sure. This one's going up here, is going here. From here up this way, like generally speaking, doing this big ammonite structure. Oh my god. Keep trying to talk to people about things they don't know about, pretty much. Just fucking name calling. So I'll just say this: archaeology is not a science. That's what I've determined in my observation. I see like physics is a science, geology is a science, chemistry is a science. Archaeology, not a science. Just gotta be honest. It's meaning like the people engaging in it aren't really well acquainted with the scientific method. But like interpret themselves to be. and just like utterly talk out of their asses to me, like in a way that's more open than like a physicist or a geologist. Like they tend to just ignore me because they don't want to engage in like a scientific discussion with someone that they just look at as being wrong. But archaeologists are so certain, it seems like, because they don't understand the scientific method as well. That's kind of my thoughts. Anyway, not being rude. The center of this, through, basically through there, maybe even. I'm just kind of curious, like this boundary. If I go to like the general center, if you don't know why I'm looking at certain points here, then you gotta watch other episodes because I don't really want to go into it. I'm just kind of checking this out. While I was here, I was actually going to go talk about Mount Gurnar, but while I had this line up, I thought I'd look around a little bit. I've talked about how this is kind of like a spiraling coil. I was thinking I should use the term rope. Like it's kind of like a rope right there that has an energetic connection to this center point and this point, I guess, either or really. I'm not quite sure what to make of every single feature, like that one, this here. But that can't be a coincidence that this rope thing is along that axis, like related to this location. It's just something to do with how the currents are interacting. Also, maybe this boundary is related to this here. Looks like maybe there's another circle off of it there. Just larger and larger, like flowering. Like, what is anyone who's watching this and doubts me? Like, what is your explanation for why these alignments exist? Coincidence? And if not coincidence, it doesn't even matter if I provide an accurate explanation. Just the mere fact alone of observing that there is this going on points in a direction that can be deduced of what exactly that means. Even if I don't deduce it, we can. Notably, this boundary again has like a circle there that looks kind of like if we just circle this whole thing, like that, making that more of like a nucleus to a region here that then has another thing. Like definitely a lot of structures interacting. Oh my god. The problem is people are children. They're not going to behave as if like I have a point. They're going to behave as if I need to be shut down, and or even don't have a point. They're not going to like behave like I deserve to speak. They're going to basically see me as a threat, and because they have power, like in numbers, like sooner or later someone's going to complain about me, like to a point where they induce unjustifiable action against me because of their complaints, as if they have a basis. Like actually induce action, not just like, all right, let them be, but actually, no, don't let them be. We need to attack. Sounds a lot like the call to arms of the pseudo-archaeology paper that I read the other day about archaeology as a calling it pseudo-archaeology, it seems, basically. As far as I can tell, that's basically what it was. Like a mirror of reality, inverse world, upside down world. where we live. But like a current flowing with spirals off of it that like have shapes. They're not all just circles. Like this has a protrusion, has another thing going on. In ways where it's not just like a perfect circle, but it resembles the presence of a boundary with a center. Boundary with a center. Nothing immediately apparent there. These are odd. I don't know if they'd really relate to this. It's almost like this, like, widened here to a point where it gouged on this side and not so much on this side. Like much of the current here, but a wide distribution, maybe. Reminiscent of here, where there's a current coming down this way that starts to show up. More so visible here. Having these like different degrees of eye shapes, not so much circles, but elongated, like truncated circles, portions of on two sides that essentially look like this, with like shapes of that nature, but in a way where this is more like showing a coiling in the process happening. Probably because there's a boundary to this system that's like related to here, as well as another boundary related to this place over here. That path. Okay, anyway. Let's go to Gurnar. Although, how far are we? 13 minutes? Yeah, that's fine. I was just kind of looking at it earlier. Looking at it. One thing I noticed here goes in and just runs into resistance and squeezes this wall here, and seemingly manages to exchange over here. It's a little odd, honestly. Like, if this is a flame of energy, maybe it's not putting in like it's not a huge percentage. It's just enough to create currents that are doing that. I mean, this structure suggests it's like the most energetic, but it might also be much more short-lived in a way where just the pressures overall like have more force going this way and in than that like overwhelm right there. It also looks generally like the currents get forced through this path and don't quite make it here. Like this current's coming in, this is coming in, creating a boundary here. And then this one's coming in, creating a boundary here. So like these are forced to come in that way. even see those step things again. Like a current's coming in here and like going up to here and over, and but then another current's coming up to here and running into it and like squeezing the terrain itself. It's not just like at surface level. Within the layers of material there, because it's got like heat exchange going on, pressures, probably just physical flows of magma until it solidified more, because this is in the midst of the flood basalt of Deccan Traps. So it's a flood basalt that's flowing of magma that is like solidifying, but also so bulk material that it's still flowing, that's getting concentrated here. So it's like shaping it above and below and within to create all these effects. Where one of the currents comes in here, trying to go here. So let's follow this one. It just goes here, but if we just keep going this way, it seems to come off of here. Another one going here. Maybe makes it over there also, and possibly goes in that way. This one coming off from the interior, like right there, kind of like yesterday. Just checking to see if that was a repetitive thing. This one's at the boundary, but it doesn't really make it. It just, I guess, because it's going so much west to east when the current was flowing that way. Now it's going the other way, but when the current was flowing that way, it was more able to just like shoot off into the resistance, maybe in a way that short-circuited this. Like if it was strong enough, it would have just went right across. But the current wrapping around this way was stronger, so it didn't make it through, but it did make it through somewhat. Also dividing, I guess, over here. Whoa. I thought that was not trees for a second. It's trees. Same thing going on here, where it like tried to short circuit, if you will, and then just went back over here. Just influenced this terrain, but didn't actually get across to Gurnar. This one, though, coming off the middle, and then dividing here. I'm just wondering if it's a little, like if I draw a line from here to here, it's not quite along this path. Like it's more so there. But it's pretty close. Like it's not horribly off from that location, so it splits just before it. Some going up this way, trying to go into here, but really running into this current that's flowing in a vortex here, vortex throughout, that's creating this boundary, and then just creating this segment between them that's also got a current in and a current holding this boundary pretty much, and another current going around holding this boundary, so it basically creates another system here. But that current's going in there. This then goes over here and seemingly like doesn't quite make it with like this region and gets brought along this way as like an arm of a galaxy, like a bigger one closer to the galaxy, where there's other ones like the whole of it going around. But then this current goes over, gets like into the insides, like abutting, basically running along the mountain's boundaries and pushing a zone for this current to flow along it, so that the current going around it isn't like preventing the flow as much, just squeezing down the path of least resistance along the boundary and then getting in, because it's really running into the resistance still. It's not like it's no resistance, it's just less resistance along the boundary, and then it flows this way in. Some of these currents coming across here and maybe breaking off and going that way. Whoa. What the? I didn't really have anything specific to talk about. Let's see. I was looking over here some more. Like this, doing this helped. Like looking at this here. Pointy at the like base. At that pole, if you will. More rounded at this side. But I noticed this line here. It's like, huh, that's kind of looks possibly related. Like that looks kind of like a nucleus to this whole segment here. All the way out to here. Across here. In like a teardrop shape maybe. Possibly including the chakra. Yeah. Reminiscent of this one. With the additional, maybe including the chakra kind of things. Opposite, large, small. Almost looks like a scorpion tail. But I was looking around, like this one has this one, which I talked about, which has this one, and then seemingly maybe one here that's just naturally in the terrain that they then built around. I don't know if that's, it's hard to say. And maybe one there, maybe one here. Whereas they're not over here, though. Like, on this side of this path, this river, there's not really those structures happening that influence the terrain, so it's just filled with farmland and so on. Over here, it, like, influenced the terrain more substantially. And then here, even more substantially. So I'm thinking, like, it's almost like there's a bunch of this current's coming across, and it's trying to get in. It's just trying to get into Gurnar, into the center. The pressure is just pushing it in to, like, to go down the drain. So it goes over there, but then it starts finding ways in. It doesn't just, like, go a single way here, over, up, and in, and into this region. Instead, it seemingly, like, right here we see this up and over. This one, like, going up to here. Possibly over. This one going up and possibly over. Here. Here, maybe. So, like, the pressure over here is just squeezing currents through, but it's, in so doing, anywhere there's resistance, it just bends back. Into, like, repetitive current flows, maybe centered there. That looks kind of like a current in the ocean shape there. Bends back, goes back, does something of that nature. Creating even possibly, like, it looks like creating a change in the boundary there. Definitely a change in the boundary there. In terms of, like, pressures from this side and pressures from this side, like, because there's a current coming in this way, it's pushing more of the material eastward, so that the pressure here is overwhelmed a little bit more than, like, the steady state relative, like this more smooth curve where things are just balanced generally, like the same throughout here in terms of pressures. But here it looks like it actually influenced it, as well as here in, like, that section. And then it's stabilized again as it, maybe not there. That's more just subtle, if anything. But then this current pushed it in, like, substantially, like a Mariana Trench with the eyeball and the jaw, the head of the snake head or whatever head. Turtle head? Maybe a turtle head. It's a little sideways, but... Why would that matter? Well, because relationships matter. When we see it here, we see it there. Like, there's inferences that can actually be drawn that are technical and not just archaeological. Boom. Okay, maybe I'm a little offended by archaeologists' casual dismissal of what I have to say, and attacks. Like, I've never felt threatened by an archaeologist or some other scientist. Like, this person's, like, going to attack my work by, like, societal methods rather than, like, debate. Oh, I can just report. Basically reporting. That's just childish. But I guess I'm reporting right now. This is what's going on, guys. Reporting to class. Hey guys, the archaeologists are being kind of childish. Like, I don't know how to fix that. Maybe I shouldn't be. Am I being? Maybe. I mean, I do sit here wearing a So the Earth Expanded shirt. What? Anyone who don't know? Now you know. Oh, wait, you don't know? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that indoctrination. To be unwilling to, like, hear out what the hell that even means. No, it didn't. I don't know what that means, but no, it didn't. It didn't. It couldn't have. Plate tectonics, plate tectonics. It's so good when we just say time, erosion, coincidence at all points and never try to explain anything. It makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Like, how did this mountain come to be? Just a coincidence. Oh, it's just a plutonic complex, dude. It's nothing complicated. So you're gonna say coincidence and move on and not even try to explain anything else. I'm gonna sit here and explain every nuance of current flow into this mountain and demonstrate an actual relationship between its shape and the inverse of present current flows to show that there is an actual larger picture process of what's going on that ties into the Deccan traps of the whole, that ties into the Earth's expansion process. But you're gonna say, it just happens sometimes to be shapes that are like regular. It doesn't really matter. It does. But can we move on to the subject, like that other thing that's based in time, erosion, and coincidence? That's unrelated to this thing because nothing is related in this world that is one world. Just fucking circles. Like the currents around this. Another current coming in here, pushing boundary there. I think I already looked at that one. I don't know where it's coming from. I think over here. That's what we found. More coming across. Let's see. Across. Up to like this region. Feeding in like a bunch of little taps. Feeding in to little points. Bringing material through channels that widen as it approaches and have all these little taps to the structure. Then overall, like, is this stuff flowing in though, like in a more bulk way? This is just kind of the end result. So like these currents, generally we see them coming over here, a bunch of locations over here, just feeding in over here, feeding in. Something happened there with man-made, but a bunch of man-made structures, so it's a little, but within the terrain, so it's not too bad. It's just a little confusing to determine what was going on in those spots. Is this man-made? I'm not even sure that's man-made. It just looks man-made. chakra potentially, if not man-made. I don't know why it would be so straight like that. It's hard to find information on every detail I would like to know around this mountain. That looks natural in combination with that. Definitely just currents reaching over here and going in, going in, going in, going in, and really just holding this boundary because they're not making it. This current coming in here is pushing too much out, ballooning the region out. It's pretty much ballooning this side with just inflow causing pressure out that then meets the pressure in from these flows coming in that then creates this boundary around it. Except where the flow actually is going through a channel to go into this ballooning region, the inlet. But over here we just have so many, like, almost made it, 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 creating these little things that are not over here. Just running into the resistance though, and just until they get past. It's almost creating like enough contact points for the current to make it. But the final current, like once this current makes it, there's not really new ones spawning off as like this. This is pretty large amount of stuff going on, not as much, maybe a little bit, like they're really short failed ones that don't really make it. But way more stabilized in this region as it comes around. This just looks straight natural, as crazy as that is. Over here too. I'd really like to speak to people who know all these details of what's natural and not in this region. Okay, that looks like a dam. It's a dam, but did it? Yeah, it looks like they made it. But it's pretty much in the terrain still. It's just there wouldn't be as much water there. It'd be probably more. It's got so many fans coming off of them, though. That's what's confusing. That definitely looks like a dam. Let's throw ourselves down here somewhere. Whoa, not at all what that looked like. What the? So maybe not a dam? Maybe not. Some blocks. Just some blocks. That does not look at all like this. Whoa. I did not expect to be indoors. Whoa. Cool. $8.20. Okay. There's so many features like this where there's basically a boundary that's going along, and then it hits resistance, and then along, hits resistance. More so like over here visible, along resistance, and just doop creates all these little indentations. Also on the back of the head here. In terms of these bends. The bend there, this bend where current's going this way, hits resistance this way. Like, basically, it's pushing into resistance, overwhelmed, pushing into, and like that allows for it to go in a lower regime of pressure again, where like the current is overwhelmed going this way and goes up and over, and then it goes relatively straight because of pressures just like going this way generally that are not as much into this resistance. Like atop it, and then that runs into resistance, and then again it just keeps happening. This one's definitely still quite anomalous to that, just because of its straight angle. Let's go like right from here. As far across as I can at a straight angle. That's pretty good. Just curious if anything's related to that. Possibly this, like, this drainage point, where this current's swirling, but it's exhausting through here, and maybe it relates to that. Is a little not in line with this. Like, if this were to overlap there, let's see if I draw a line there. It's still pretty much through it. Possibly some relationship then. Also noticed, I didn't know what to make of it exactly. Over here, here's one as well. This row also has one all the way over here. There's not really anything there, but all the way over there. And this one has distinctly like a straight wall bend, and does that same thing. But if it really looks like it's wrapping around this way, running into here, and then resistance builds up, so it runs around this way, and then it goes kind of like a seashell beam from a point. I don't know why exactly it would be doing that. Just spraying in many angles from there, but into etching in to the terrain that is being built in the process of all of this that's going on. This looks also maybe goes like it comes off of some current like this way. Let's see. Not actually measuring, I'm just drawing lines. At its most, it doesn't. It kind of lines up with the end of it, like here. I don't know. But then there's this gap, and it's basically at the middle of the neck. So that's noteworthy that this thing is at the middle of this neck. I almost wonder if like that's like a head of a snake also that has a spine then that maybe is like here. I don't know why. Just because of that with relationship to this one. At least here with the eyeball. Like, how perfect is this mountain? It's incredible. Oh my god. It's just doop, doop. These things. This is what it looks like from Junagad. Bavnath, I believe. Yup. Pretty sure that's the temple where that is. We could probably street view around here. That's the hotel. And that temple. Oh, so the face. I didn't realize. The face is actually really visible here. This is where the face is visible. Kinda can see it now, like a nose. Although, like this face. Is here. This angle a little more. It's almost like this came in and went around some. Whoa. It goes right to Datatreya Peak right there. This. Which presumably connects generally back to here. One also goes this way. Holds this boundary. Up here, holding this boundary. But then up here to Datatreya Peak. While this one comes in And also goes maybe, there's Datatrea Peak. Which is... many of these, but... Of course I can't. I'll just go to my Steemit. The one that I wrote an entire Steemit article just linking, well, I made a Steemit article just linking pictures of Datatrea Peak, this place. Notice all of the volatiles that flowed through it. In all the little white pockets of channels. Especially visible and like right there. These images are a little too small. Kind of visible in this one. It's just epic, and all the links of videos. But like, it is no accident that this current runs right up to it. I would say this current flows in, hits resistance, and creates an eddy right there. Like, induces it within the higher density materials. It's still like monzonite diorite, where over here is like basalt, granophyre, different materials getting pushed. Like where compression is occurring, denser materials can actually make it through and get pushed through to differentiate. There's a differentiation happening by just interactions of currents and the pressures induced that here produce a granophyre ring and produce a olivine gabbro hexagon inner structure, and then a monzonite diorite core with biotite and lamprifier intrusions and nepheline cyanite. Just words to me, really, in some regards, but not claiming to know the full depth of what those things mean exactly. Maybe I should try to learn ways I can apply those in a more rigorous way. It's just very, at that point, trying to rewrite what those like technically really mean is an endeavor. I don't know how to go about doing that without just kind of slowly but surely learning other things, and on the road to those other things also learning more and like places where this is and that, and seeing certain aspects of things like that olivine, it tends to crystallize first and sink to the bottom of magma. Like, that's useful. Rather than just like, a lot of it's like, if I Google it, you just kind of get into the details. Oh, this is this chemical and this is what happens. Like, it's a too like far down that line of reasoning for where I really want to enter into it, so I just kind of take note. Anyway, obviously though, it's happening by differentiation. It doesn't matter if I like know, oh, this rock is that. He doesn't know his rocks. How could he possibly inform geology if he doesn't know his rocks? Do you guys know Michael Faraday? You don't even like know history, do you? Like scientific history, like the history of science, pretty relevant. as someone who's just interested, I learned. I don't know if you guys are like that interested. And then like noting along the way, like, yeah, Faraday did have some points that were taken, like mocked and ridiculed. That's true. Maybe like it could happen again. No, it couldn't happen again. It couldn't possibly be happening right now with the person that's talking. That couldn't be. Nope. Nope. We set things up so that only those who are informed enough could possibly inform us. Yeah, if we want to like plateau, I guess. I know it's so different that it is like hard to fathom that it could possibly be true. People aren't like comprehending why I'm saying and what I'm saying. Why I'm saying what I'm saying and what I'm saying. We're all just me in another life, I guess. At some point, I just die, live everyone else's life, I guess. And you do the same. And we all do the same. So we're all just everyone. Ew, this little arc here is interesting. It's almost like a... Got those little divots, like an outer pressure from a rotation that's kind of over here, going on over here too. But here, around this boundary, oh my god, this mountain. I know it's not even like really an image of the mountain, but it's still ridiculous. Like just the way it is. Let's check it out from this angle. Maybe if we look at it from like the actual different angles, it can inform us too. Currents coming in from the top on this side, wrapping around this way, and other currents coming in from the bottom in this manner, more like at the poles. This one's actually going in. This one's more so joining out here, although maybe that's also going on here. Just like, is there some kind of like Antarctica relationship here? Or here, depending on which angle of perception. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's just so... I was scratching at my eye. I wasn't like fake crying or anything. Just... Oh... Tear it up, man. It's just so beautiful. There's so much beauty in the world. Like that bag. It's not wrong. American Beauty bag seed. I don't want to play more than a few seconds. Do. Honestly, it is fascinating. Like it got caught in that current corner. It went over into the corner here, and then it like did a little like small swirl, and then it broke free from the corner. Okay, before I go looking at bags floating from the movies, there's so much beauty in the world. It really is true, though. Like, what are we doing? Whoa. It looks so weird. The way it is, I need to look at it from real. I wish that like there was a real image of this mountain that I could do similar things with. Because that just looks so awkwardly on the side of the mountain. Like, how incredible is that? Whoa, all the way from the coastline, just hanging out. There's a mountain in the distance. Finally running into some other structures besides Gurnar with Barda Hills and Alec Hills. It's still kind of in the distance. I don't know if you can actually see that far, but it like actually is in the distance. In terms of no obstructions besides the curvature of the Earth, unless the Earth is flat. Although gravity maybe could play a role in making it look as if it's flat, even though it is round, and instances like that that are not accounted for, especially. I like to hear out the flat Earth perspective. Like, I don't agree with it whatsoever, but I listen to it. Geologist. Archaeologist. Everyone playing the odds. Surely it can't be so. Goes up here, runs into resistance, maybe goes around it that way and around it generally this way, but ends up mostly going this way because this one runs into resistance again. Kind of like the hand then with the nucleus thing. It's going around wrapping around both sides. Tries to go cut literally down the middle, but it just ran into enough resistance that it went around and up this way. Pushing mounds in places. Possibly just like creating this resistance also in the current. Like it ended up creating this resistance that it went around instead and left there as a resistance. And ultimately doing that in every way that built up to the center where the currents were just pushing mounds, causing them to peak and spiral in the vortex of Dattatreya Peak. Where could it be? No. Where is it? It's gotta be in this one, but I just trying to find the spiral, like the whole spiral, and nothing but the spiral. I know I got other pictures of this spiral where I joined it from the YouTube channel The Dawn Gurnar video. Whatever. Alright, I'll be back sooner or later. Thanks for watching. See y'all later. Peace out.